Omar Abdullah, former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir and National Conference leader, there speaking there. Shuja Ullah Thakur and Rajdeep Sardesai with me in the studio here. Shuja, I just quickly want to come to you. One very interesting thing that Omar Abdullah said that Mehbooba Mufti possibly should have done this 1 year earlier and would have gone with her dignity intact.
That's right, Ankit. A lot of people are actually saying that Mehbooba Mufti lost a chance of, outsmarting the BJP in these current situations. But apart from that, Ankit, what the other important point, the other important factor which is very clear now after Omar Abdullah spoke, is that there is going to be no new permutation or combination for formation of the government in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, at least in these current circumstances, which means the governor's rule. And, we are still looking at about 2 years left for this session of the assembly. That's really, unfortunate, because this would mean that a loss to the, democratic process in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. This would also mean a loss to the electioneering and the mainstream politics, so to speak. So that is a very important factor to understand here. Right. Apart from everything else, we have to, understand that the state of Jammu and Kashmir is looking at a long spell of governor's rule.
Okay, Shuja, stay on with me. And Rajdeep, I just want to take our viewers through one by one onto the possibilities as far as Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. Number one, of course, the most likelihood is of the governor's rule. But the law says that for 6 months, the governor rule can be implemented unless there is an extension. Number two, can there be a caretaker government with Mehbooba Mufti on the, still at the helm of the affairs? And number three, early elections. The government could not get the elections done of the parliamentary constituencies. Is there an atmosphere right now in Jammu and Kashmir to go in for early elections?
No, I think it's very clear, Ankit. The only option before Jammu and Kashmir is now an extended period of governor's rule. Remember, while you say 6 months governor's rule can be extended, nothing stops you from a further extension also.
Yes.
And we've seen in the 1990s when the violence of the insurgency really was at its peak, there was a long period of president's rule. And I think the very idea that the centre or the BJP pulled out of this alliance is with plan B in mind, which is have governor's rule in place, allow the situation to stabilize. That may take 6 months, that may take 12 months. I don't think that the centre is in any hurry. There was some talk that maybe elections in Kashmir could be held along with the general elections, whether they are in the end of 2018 or early 2019, that still remains a possibility. But I don't think that the centre is in any hurry. I think the centre has realized that the situation in the valley in particular has spiraled out of control. The government has been unable to, the state government, bjp-pdp government, as Omar Abdullah said, both were in power, has been unable to bring the situation under control. And it's now reached the stage where, frankly, the centre has very few options. So I don't see early elections. I don't see any kind of other alliance. Omar Abdullah has already ruled it out. So governor's rule, Mr. N.N. Vora, who's going to complete 10 years in a few months from now, will be the person who will be the centre's point person now in Srinagar.
Rajdeep, also, like you're saying that the situation has come to a point where there are not many options for the centre. The situation actually has deteriorated to the point that they had no option but to pull out. In that sense, the BJP will not be able to get out of this completely unscathed. There will be questions not only on the BJP in Jammu and Kashmir, but also at the centre's policy regarding Jammu and Kashmir as well.
It just depends on how the opposition chooses to play it. I think it's very clear that the BJP-PDP alliance was forged in 2015 because Mr. Modi saw political capital in enhancing his own image. Tying up with someone like Mufti Mohammad Saeed, having a BJP government in India's only Muslim majority state, gave him a sense that he was genuinely a leader of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. And he saw possibly in Mufti Mohammad Saeed the kind of leader with whom he could do business. I think ever since Mehbooba took over, ever since the violence was sort of sparked off again with the killing of Burhan Wani in July 2016, I think it has become increasingly untenable for this government. It's interesting that Ram Madhav today says it's become untenable.
Yes.
It's frankly been untenable possibly for the longest time. And my sense is, while in 2015, when this arrangement was formed, Mr. Modi's intentions were to give himself this statesman-like image. By 2018, he once again wants to go back to playing the nationalist hero. And how do you play the nationalist hero if in Kashmir, if in the valley, your soldiers are getting killed, civilians are getting killed, the situation is spiraling out of control, you will be blamed. Even today, the opposition may well turn around and say, don't just blame Mehbooba Mufti, you were in power, what did you do?
Exactly.
So I think Mr. Modi will suffer to some extent from the fact that he has vacillated. You know, at some stage he's reached out to Nawaz Sharif, at other stages we've had an eyeball to eyeball conflict, surgical strikes. I think there's been a lack of consistency in our policy towards Kashmir and Pakistan. And, you know, one day you talk of dialogue, the next day you cut off all ties. Somewhere, I think we haven't had that consistency. And this is part of that, you know, today is another day, another chapter in that you said that this alliance was going to last, this alliance was going to bring a new kind of stability, bring together Jammu and Kashmir. The romantic ideal, if you ever had one, has completely been destroyed.
You know, Shuja, and just extending that point, because Omar Abdullah also said that he would want early elections, leave it up to the government to decide when they want to do it. But given the situation on the ground, what realistic could be that time frame, because we could not even get parliamentary election done for the by-polls in Jammu and Kashmir because of the deteriorating situation on the ground.
Absolutely, Ankit. You know, that's a very interesting point to make here. The parliamentary elections that for 2 seats that were supposed to be held, they couldn't go very well. In fact, in South Kashmir seat, they couldn't even hold the elections at all. It's still vacant. In Srinagar, the voter percentage, the turnout was less than 2%. So overall, the situation on the ground does not really seem to be conducive for an early election. It will be very, very difficult for the centre, for the election commission to do that. So what does that mean? That means a long period of governor's rule. For 6 months, they can have it. They can then get it extended for another 6 months. And like Rajdeep was pointing out, all of it would fit into the circumstances for the general elections in 2019. So for all you know, perhaps the state of Jammu and Kashmir will have its elections with the general elections for the country in 2019.
Right, Rajdeep, possibly the seeds of this breakup, it was the first glimpse was very clear in March when Hasib Drabu, the man who was in fact coordinating for the PDP with the BJP, was sacked because he said that, it's a social problem as far as Jammu and Kashmir situation is concerned. That possibly gave a sense that it is absolutely untenable given the ideologies where both these partners stand on.
Very interesting point you make there, because Hasib Drabu, former finance minister of Jammu and Kashmir, and Ram Madhav were being called the Ram Rahim Jodi, who really brought this alliance together. It wasn't an easy alliance to bring together. They have very, very sharply divided ideologies. They are divided by geography, divided by history, and coming together was a huge task. And I think a major role was played by Hasib Drabu and by Ram Madhav. Hasib Drabu's removal meant that one more bridge to the PDP was in a sense ruptured. Mehbooba increasingly found herself under siege. The PDP was losing popularity. She was struggling to retain her party's core base. Members of her party were getting increasingly frustrated and restive. And yet they wanted to stay in power.
Yes.
Remember, Jammu and Kashmir government is there for 6 years. It's there for another 2.5. So they wanted to stay in power. But power alone cannot be the only glue, particularly when you reach a stage, as in the case of the BJP, which is the national party, where you realize that the longer we now continue with this government in Jammu and Kashmir, the more we stand to lose outside Jammu and Kashmir. Today's decision is not just about Kashmir. It's not just about Shujat Bukhari. It's not just about the violence that has taken place. It's also the calculation the BJP has made that we want to fight the 2019 elections on a nationalist card. And how can we fight on a nationalist card if in Jammu and Kashmir we are seen to be soft on terror? To my mind, that's the breaking point. The last chance was the Ramzan ceasefire. When that failed, I think the BJP decided, let's get out of it and cut our losses.
So 2019 ahead of what they had thought for the Jammu and Kashmir populace there. But with that, we are taking a very quick break. Rajdeep Sardesai, Shuja Ullah Thakur will be with us as we come back. This is our top focus, the big political story coming in from Jammu and Kashmir, the breakup of BJP and PDP. Now, let's take a look at where the numbers in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly stand as we speak. With 2 nominated MLAs, the total strength of the assembly is 89. However, based on 87 elected MLAs, the halfway mark stands at 44. PDP has 28 MLAs in the state. BJP had 25. They were in alliance for the last 3 years. Now, the National Conference has 15 seats, while the Congress has 12, and others, including the nominated 2 MLAs, it's 9 MLAs with the others as well. Now, before, in fact, I go back to my guest for more perspective, let's quickly listen in to Kavinder Gupta, former Deputy Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. He spoke to my colleague Pooja Shali.
सर, सुबह जब आपसे बात हुई तब तो आप बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट लग रहे थे कि सिचुएशन ऐसी है कि पॉलिटिकल जो भी अलायंस रहेगा, क्या ऐसा तो नहीं है कि बीजेपी नेताओं को पता नहीं था जब वो आए थे, या पता था लेकिन होपफुल थे कि अलायंस रह जाएगा?
ऐसा है कि कुछ भी जो चीज़ें होती हैं केंद्र सरकार की मर्जी से ही होती हैं। यहाँ पर जो बैठक हुई उसमें बैठक होने के बाद ये निर्णय लिया गया कि ये इस वक्त समर्थन वापस लेना ही
तो अब नेक्स्ट क्या है सर? अब किस तरह से ये डिसीजन को आप देख रहे हैं, क्यों लिया गया है?
जम्मू कश्मीर के हालात को देखते हुए गवर्नर रूल वहाँ पर जरूरी था, ऐसा समझा गया।
अब क्यों, अभी क्यों टाइमिंग पे सवाल उठ रहा है कि अभी क्यों ये डिसीजन लिया गया?
रमजान के महीने के बाद जो डेवलपमेंट्स हुई हैं उसी को देखते हुए ऐसा किया गया।
तो अब नेक्स्ट स्टेप क्या, हम गवर्नर्स रूल माने या बीजेपी के लिए नेक्स्ट स्टेप क्या होगा? क्या ये जम्मू लद्दाख
जैसे सिचुएशन में जो डेवलपमेंट्स हो रही है, आपने देखा है कि महबूबा मुफ्ती ने इस्तीफा दिया है, कोई भी अपोजिशन पार्टी जो मुख्य अपोजिशन पार्टी है उन्होंने किसी के समर्थन करने से इनकार किया है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली वो गवर्नर रूल ही इस समय सही रहेगा।
क्या ये अटेम्प्ट है सर, बीजेपी स्ट्रांग दिखे, अपनी सीट्स रिटेन करे, क्या उसका ये अटेम्प्ट है 2019?
बीजेपी से पहले से अच्छा परफॉर्म करेंगे ऐसा मैं विश्वास दिलाता हूं।
ऐसा आप विश्वास, क्या आपको पीडीपी ने पीछे खींच लिया था सर बीजेपी?
ऐसा नहीं है, कुछ निर्णयों के बारे में उनको कहा गया था, उन्होंने उस पर पूरी तरह से जैसा समर्थन उस निर्णय का करना चाहिए था, मुझे लगता है उसमें कमी रही।
Right. So that was Kavinder Gupta, the former Deputy Chief Minister now of Jammu and Kashmir. Rajdeep, as far as the National Conference is concerned, Omar Abdullah made a very interesting point about how the Chief Minister, if she would have pulled out, she would have gone out with her dignity intact. How much of a damage has the BJP alliance caused to the PDP in the valley?
Huge, massive. The PDP came to power in alliance with the Congress in 2002, and at that time there was so much of talk of the healing touch, and the alliance seemed to work for a long while, particularly when Mufti Saab was the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. But in this second avatar, tying up with the BJP was an even bigger risk possibly for the PDP, because at least the BJP is a national party, so the BJP could have had spaces beyond Jammu and Kashmir where they could grow. The PDP is a party of the valley. They've lost the valley. And to my mind, when you heard Omar Abdullah there, he is just waiting for this election to take place, because the general sense is that the collapse of the PDP in the valley will only be to the advantage of the National Conference. And the real tragedy of Jammu and Kashmir is that there are no alternative voices or faces that are emerging that could perhaps offer some kind of hope. It is a very, very difficult situation for anyone who is in power in Jammu and Kashmir, whether it was Mehbooba this time, whether it was Omar in the past. Large parts of the valley, the writ of the state is under serious threat.
Yes. Pooja Shali, who got us that interview, is also with us. Pooja, you spoke to him in the morning. It seems that the BJP leaders either, did not know themselves, because the BJP central leadership has surprised everybody, from Mehbooba Mufti to their own party leaders.
And that's a big admission coming in from the now former Deputy Chief Minister, who said, when I clearly asked him in the morning, you said something different. Did you not know? Were you not aware that this decision will be taken? To which he, of course, clearly said that it was union government's decision. The centre has decided, which clearly reflects that this decision has been taken at the top level. And remember, with 2019, Jammu and Ladakh remain their top focus. They clearly knew that the valley will not be, as of now, voting for the BJP. The situation was only getting worse. But amidst all this, also remember, Ankit, people are suffering. People of Jammu and Kashmir, whether it is border violations, whether it is valley, whether it is in Jammu, feel that the politicians have decided to ditch them at the moment when the situation was worse. And yes, they are looking at 2019. The focus remains Jammu and Ladakh. But as of now, BJP is focusing on maintaining its image. BJP wants to ensure that it will not be seen being blamed for what PDP had or had not done. It must look defiant, and as Ram Madhav called it in some way, national interest.
Right, I'm completely out of time on this, Rajdeep. Just last 30 seconds to you. Very interestingly, Ajit Doval today met Amit Shah, and before this, the decision was in fact announced. What sort of a entire narrative would the BJP now want to go in with in 2019? It just can't be nationalist narrative. Would want to in fact project it as a sacrifice that they have made for the larger interest of the country.
They might do that, but I think the two words that Pooja mentioned, that Ram Madhav said, are critical: national interest. I think they will say they've done this in the national interest, and I'm sure this decision was taken at the highest level by the Prime Minister's office, which has directed the Kashmir policy. Even the original alliance was given the stamp by Mr. Modi, and my belief is that the breakup also eventually was given the stamp by Mr. Modi. The decisions both in 2015 to join hands and to break up in 2018 were taken by Narendra Modi.
From the Prime Minister himself. We are completely out of time on this bulletin, but remember, this is our top focus. On the other side of the break on 5 Live, Shiv Arur will be with you with this top story where we track all the latest developments coming in. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.